As it is written, the kingdom is within us. Come together and discuss the issues within the kingdom. Speak your peace. Speak the truth. For the kingdom is at hand. Kingdom Conversations.
Peace and blessings, peace and blessings, peace and blessings to the whole house. The whole house, meaning the northern and southern kingdom, the number one smash hit that's causing the whole earth to be turned upside down, and that's the kingdom of the Israelites. All praises to you, Father. Father, we thank you. We thank you. Coming to you as a child in proper perspective, because you are our Father. And we're supposed to come to you as a child. So I come to you as one of your children, one of your hard-headed children, asking you that you bless, protect, and love the apple of your eye, that you give the apple of your eye the heart to turn back to the children, as the book says, and that we not forget about the children. Thank you for sending your only begotten Mashiach. And thank you for also sending the Spirit, aka the Ruach HaKodesh. And the work that all three of you have done has been magnificent and great for your people. Greetings again to you, family. It's great to see you all here on another KC. And I got my good sister, Christina Laster, on. But before I bring her, I'm going to bring her in first before I greet you guys. We're going to pick up kind of where we've been leaving off. Hey, Christina, how you doing, sis? Go ahead and unmute your
Shalom,
mic. Go ahead, sis.
shalom, family, and I'm all right. I appreciate this time with the family and just having this discussion with you, of course, as always. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. And to be quite honest with you, the topic that we cover concerning our children, and I'm gonna get into it really in more in depth after I greet the family, um, should be something that all of us have a heart to participate in, including myself. And so, what does that mean? That means that all of your famous big giant YouTube channels, they don't have to be connected to us, because more than likely they're probably not, but everybody should be sounding the alarm. Everybody should be linking in with the sister, her website, and not only supporting her, but actually being an active participant. Because the war that's against us is on every front. And so if you believe that you're a person of the book, you can look at the book and see where, okay, there's been a coordinated effort from Psalms 83. Let's just take them and isolate them. Psalms 83 has been coordinated against you. So who is Psalms 83? Well, I treat everybody on the earth as Psalms 83. I don't make no distinction until you determine if you're a friend or foe to Brother C. After you make that determination, then we can even go even further. But until otherwise noted, everybody's an enemy combatant. I don't care if you look like me or you don't. You're an enemy combatant. Why is that, Brother C? Because I can't tell. I don't know who Psalms 83 is, to be honest with you. I have an idea. But the book says you will know them by their fruit. You got everybody throwing you under the bus. Everybody throws the Israelites under the bus, the quote African Americans. They throw you under the bus every chance they get. And it could be the Asians, it could be the Europeans, it could be the Africans, it could be the folks in South America. Everybody throw you on the bus and run you over, and then look outside the bus window, the rearview mirror, and say, "Oh, did we get him or her? Oh, we didn't get him. Let's keep running them over back and forth until we get them up out of here." So anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox and I'm gonna greet the family like we normally do. We'll start from the top down, then we'll get into the conversation. Hey, shalom, sis. This is sis that's on the show with us. Peace and blessings to you, wise society. Johan, Zechariah 8:5, and the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. And so my call to everyone is, okay, we know that Zechariah 8:5 is talking about. What are we doing about it? What are we saying to our youth? Are we afraid to talk to our youth? Do we consider ourselves an elder enough to be able to talk to our youth and say, okay, yeah, you might not want to do that. You might want to do this. Son of Yaakov, peace and blessings to you, brother. I will be glad too. And I believe that some of us are going to meet face to face before we even get to the wilderness. Albany, Georgia, peace and blessings to you. Hope all is well. My sister Notorious Hebrew. Shalom, sis. Good to see you as usual. Peace and blessings to you. My good brother Mark B. Fitness. Hey, Mark B. How you doing, brother? Hope all is well with you. Hope the Father's been keeping you. My good brother Jabroni. Hey, Jabroni, how you doing, man? Hope you've been going throughout the internet, throughout the interweb, tearing their head up with the book. Because you come with great boldness, and that's amazing. And that's how we should be. We shouldn't be lockjawed and slackjawed when we discussing the book, and when we coming at the heathen, the pagan, or anybody else, the Gentile, Jew, Hebrew, whoever you are. Now, I will say that I'm not going to openly throw my family under the bus, my family being those out there that's doing right by the law keepers. Who are the law keepers? Well, go get Revelation. I believe it's Revelation 14 and 12. Those law keepers that they had faith in Mashiach, but they also kept the law. That phrase, right? That precept invalidates the whole of Christianity, just right there. Because you can't be Christianity say, okay, the law's done away with. But then Revelation say, oh, this is they kept Mashiach, which is the law, and they also kept the law. So don't come at me with you talking about you can be both. You're both in all foolishness. You can't be both. It's impossible. There's nowhere on earth that you could be a Christian and you could be an Israelite. Because number one, and I put this comment on in everybody comment section I see. Name me one Christian in the book. Give me their name, their rank, and their serial number. And tell me what book I can find them in where they said, I'm a Christian. Please show me that. Shalom, sis. How you doing? Hope you've been well. I've been meaning to text you. Hope you've been doing good. Hope all is well with you. Hope your family's doing well as well. Hey, what's up? I'm going to keep greeting the family as they come in. Peace and blessings to you. Hope you're well, brother. Hope the Father's been keeping you. My prayer for all of you is that the Father not only has been keeping you, but he's been prospering you. And he's been prospering you so well that you got off your tailbone and start doing his will according to the gifts and talents that he's given you. And that you're not just sitting on your tailbone, sitting up watching YouTube videos, talking about, I'm going to wait for somebody else to do it. Meanwhile, he done gave you 5 talents and you're not doing nothing with it. Meanwhile, he done gave you brilliant IPs that can make trillions and trillions of dollars for the nation and you're not doing nothing with it, brother. See, I can talk about myself on that. So we're going to get into it, fam. I see some more people coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and greet them. Hey, Pam, y'all, peace and blessings to you. Shalom, sis. Hope y'all well. E.T., what's good, brother? Hope you've been doing well, man. Hope all is well with you, man. Hope you've been doing excellent, ET. It's good seeing you, brother. Good seeing you. Good seeing everyone in the chat. And like I said, the Father bless you and keep you this hour, and He prosper you, and then He give you the unction to get up off your tail and do something with the gifts that He's given you. Israel is a brilliant people, an awesome and brilliant people, and you shouldn't be afraid of what the heathen is talking about doing, because he done already said he gonna make you the head because you was the tail. Because you was originally the head, he made you the tail. Now he in the process of making you the head. So that gets into the conversation that me and the sister was having. Sister, how you doing? I'm gonna go ahead and bring you in. We're gonna continue. Let's continue the conversation that we was having. And do you remember where we left off, sis? Let's
Yeah,
pick up where we left off. Come on, let's bring it.
yeah, definitely. And so I was saying, like, there are positions in the kingdom, right? Do people know what their position is, what their role is? And if they don't know, have they asked for wisdom? You talk about the talents, right? How many talents were given? And what did we do with them? Were they buried? Because that person that buries them is considered wicked in the sight of Yeshua HaMashiach, right? And so, just looking at the roles and the positions that we play in the kingdom, how are we mastering those roles and positions while we're in the land of our captivity? And that's where we left off at. And, I don't know if the conversations that go out daily address that, right? There's a lot of knowledge about identity, who you are, what our condition is. But what about mastering our positions and our roles in the kingdom? We were created for a purpose. And in this time, and in this particular era, for a purpose. So that's what we were talking about. And just, admonishing people, really wanting to admonish people to ask for wisdom. Those who seek wisdom will get it. But you can't be double minded when you're seeking wisdom, right? And so I'm going to leave it right there and we can talk more about that. But I asked, is there a bomb in Gilead?
I'll put the bottom part of that precept up, because this question goes out to Israelite common today. Okay, Israelite common today. If you were to look in the mirror and ask yourself, I'm talking about everybody in the panel, every Israelite that's over the earth right now. If you were to ask yourself, what are you doing for the nation and for the kingdom? Are you supporting righteous causes, or are you just sitting up watching all the YouTube videos and getting in that knowledge? Because there's enough knowledge on YouTube to satisfy your cravings in terms of whatever it is that you want to do, whether it be nation building, the nation of Israel, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, the festivals, the diet, all of the laws, and everything else. And then you can get great breakdowns from, there's a whole litany of different scholars and teachers that are online teaching what it is that you need to know. But now here's the question. Once you've ingested all of that information, what are you doing with it? How are you impacting not only your circle, your family and friends, but how are you impacting the nation? And what I mean by nation, I'm not talking about the snakes. I'm talking about the Israelites. We're a nation within a nation, and we operate haphazardly. Big deal that you accepted your culture. That's what I say to you. If you're not getting busy, big deal. I'm not from Missouri, but I'm going to ask you, show me something. And then if you're not doing nothing, how come you're not supporting causes like what the sister's doing? How come you're not supporting causes that are righteous? You had no problem giving 10% to Pastor Creflo Dollar. You had no problem giving 10% to that snake Joe Osteen or TD Snakes. Causes that did you giving 10%, thinking that you're going to get 100% pressed down, shaken, and overflowing, and you didn't get a nickel out of that investment. Because that's what you was looking at that. Let's keep it a buck. Everybody who was tithing was looking at it from a perspective of, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna get get this. If I invest $10, I'm gonna get 100. I'm gonna get 100-fold. Just like you go in to play the slot machine, like the father's a slot machine. If you need someone, why don't you approach him as he's your father? He's your father, right? Let's say, hey, Dad, hey, Father, I need this. This is what I need. I need you to help me with this, Father. I'm coming to you as a child. Parent-child relationship, right? Notice I'm not using his first name. Different conversation. The brother's going to address that. The brothers on Solid Earth going to address that.
Brother C,
Go ahead,
you
sis.
know, it's interesting, right? We look at Psalm 103:6, it says that our Elohim executes righteousness and justice for all who are oppressed. Do people believe that that's going to fall out the sky like manna?
Yep, people are waiting. People are waiting for Mashiach to come back and solve everything. Which I'm not saying that he's not an important cog, but the discussion that you and I had, where okay, he wants people to start thinking and putting themselves in position, so that when we do get to wilderness, we already are functioning. Don't y'all know that when we get to the wilderness, we're going to be a functioning entity? We're already going to be in motion. That's why
Right,
we're going to be getting down with the other nations and getting with them. But
right.
now, if you go to the wilderness thinking that it's time to put your feet up, you got it all wrong. You got it backwards.
I mean, even when, you know, in past times we were wandering around in the wilderness, Moshe even had to separate the people according to tribes and assign, you know, what I would liken to judges over them. And there were rules that were laid down, come in there and coming out, right? And so what position are you in? Are you mastering that role? I don't know. I can't answer that for everyone. I can answer that for myself, right? And that has been understanding my role and my position in warfare and what it is that I need to be doing and how I need to be doing it, and just praying for wisdom daily on how to multiply that, right? How to multiply that. And so, you know, again, I asked that question: is there no bomb in Gilead? And we have a lot of people that'll come out and say peace when there is no peace. We know that. And you know, I want to talk about warfare before I talk about education, so that maybe people can understand it from a warfare position about what's happening to our children and families.
Here's why we're on the same page, because that's the question that I wanted to ask the family. I want to ask you, fam, does everybody in the chat and everybody that's watching online right now, do you understand that we are in a war? Put a one up if you do. And I want everybody to put a one up. I don't care if you sneak listening, if you kind of sitting on the sideline saying, okay, Loudmouth C is on right now. I want you guys to put a one up. You family, put a one up if you understand that you right now, today, 2023, there has been a war waged against you before you even came out the womb. Your great, 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 great grandfather and mother had a war going against them that's been handed down from generation to generation, and it's actually in your DNA. Everybody in here better put a one up. I'm not saying nothing else until I see a bunch of ones in the chat. Point blank. If you know that you've been in a war, then what you doing about it? Is you're addressing the war that we're in, sitting up watching Brother C and listening to him techno babble about what the hell he talking about when he don't know what the hell he talking about? Or are you watching the latest train wreck about the entertainment, who shot Jamie Foxx or who shot John and who shot JR? Or maybe you into the Teletubbies, watching them on YouTube, and then get your children in front of them with Barney and them. I see all them ones. Everybody that's listening, put a one up. Everybody that I see in the chat, put a one up. We're not moving forward till I see them.
Yeah,
What's
I
up, Yash?
mean,
How you doing, bro? Sorry about that, sis. What's up, Yash?
that's
How
all
you
right.
doing? Go ahead, sis.
It's almost like I liken the inactivity to people waiting for the rapture, right? Like, oh, we just gonna sit here and carry on until, you know, Some event happens.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so here is it one of my favorite quotes. I believe it's in the Wisdom of Solomon, or it's in the War Scrolls. It's in the War Scrolls, and the father and the comment is made. Israel is my battle axe and weapon of war.
Hmm.
Who is he talking to? Maybe he was talking about the Israelites back then, but he wasn't talking to the ones just now coming their culture because
Um,
they've been lobotomized. He ain't talking about them. I don't think he can be talking about them. Impossible.
Brother C,
No
you know
way. Go ahead, sir.
that he talking about us. Yeah, no,
Do-
he's talking about us.
okay. So he's talking about modern day. I call y'all Deuteronomy 30 because y'all done called to mind. Y'all coming back to the culture, and y'all done seen what you done seen what Martin Luther King talking about. He said he was gonna see and he was gonna get to, and you guys are all looking for, guys and gals, sisters and brothers are looking forward to that. But if you believe that you're his battle axe and weapons of war, are you preparing for that? Because there's a war going on against our children in this wicked public food system,
Mm.
a serious and dynamic war on. My sister, you said multi-symmetrical. You
I'm gonna
used the
show it's
military term on me.
so that's what I want to show. I want to show the concept of mosaic warfare. Before I've called it asymmetrical war, but in the concept of mosaic warfare is include what I want to show
Hold
to
on
the
a second. I'm
family
gonna stop
now.
you. I'm gonna stop you, and I want you to repeat that because somebody's starting to jiggling wires now, and they don't
Oh
want what
no.
to go out. So go ahead and repeat that, please. Thanks a lot, boy on board. I appreciate that, sis. There it is. That's what I'm talking
So
about.
what I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to show you guys, is the understanding of mosaic warfare, which encompasses asymmetrical war. Okay, and I'm going to show you all the information that is included in that. I can start sharing right now if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead,
I saw
sis. If you can
somebody
share your
said he was
screen, go
talking
ahead.
about Charlton
Go
Heston.
ahead. Yeah, that's your
I
brother.
don't know who Charlton Heston.
Well, Charlton Heston was that liar that's talking about he was Moses in the old movie. You remember the Ten Commandments movie? How they had us watching
Oh,
every time the Shabbat, the not Shabbat, but every time Easter came around as a child, you went to Sunday, got your Sunday clothes, went to church, and then you came home, watched Charleston and Heston in there talk about the Ten Commandments. He talking about that food.
oh, I see the nation got jokes today. That's all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no. Yeah,
Okay.
no, they out of control. They're out of control. I'll put it up there. You go. It's up. It should
Ooh,
be up in
that's
a
okay. We
second.
got to laugh too.
There we go. I'm gonna take that comment
Yep.
off, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make that full screen if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes. Yes. Please do.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm gonna be sharing all these links in the chat. For those people that are watching, I like to teach and give the proof of what I'm teaching at the same time, so that you can have this information. And do I need to zoom in a little bit more, or
It
can
looks
everybody?
good from my perspective. The only thing I would say is either manage cookies or just go ahead and accept the cookies because base systems already got you locked and loaded
I'm gonna
anyway.
manage my cookies before you do. Yeah,
Okay.
they already got me.
They already trust and
All right.
believe. They know exactly who you are.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do me a
Okay. And
favor. Do me a
so
favor. Can
mosaic
you
warfare.
give everybody an idea of a lot of people don't know who base systems is. Give them a brief rundown on who base systems is. I'm affiliated with them because in the industry that I used to work in, we interface with base systems. But go ahead.
Right. And so let me just show you guys, right, so that you can see and you can give more in instead of seeing what we do. But of course, this is like warfare technologies, products, and services, right? And so you see right here is future technologies, air, land, cybersecurity and intelligence, electronics services. See, also showing you entities how to protect themselves from attack, right? And so I think that I summed that up pretty good. What about you? Have anything you want to add to that?
No, perfect job. Keep rocking. I'm gonna let you rock out. I'm gonna go on mute.
All right. So mosaic warfare is a war fighting theory which suggests that making an enemy fight an unexpectedly large asymmetric volume and variety of weaponry and platforms. Sorry, I was tongue tied for a minute. And platforms from different classes, sizes, and types, each fighting in a way as distinct as tiles in a mosaic. So when you're talking about this battle coming from all possible angles, we got to think about mosaic warfare, which is encompasses asymmetrical warfare from all sides, right? It can have an overpowering advantage as compared to going head to head against the enemy's similar weapons and platforms. Okay. And so I want to show you a little bit more, and I'm going to show you who's engaged in mosaic warfare. And so it's a disjointed multi-domain approach that runs counter to the belief that only a coordinated, uniformly trained, smoothly functioning fighting force would be the more powerful opponent to face. Like the tiles in a mosaic, the individual platforms of each domain, and they're talking about air, land, maritime, cyberspace, and so on, right? I would put that so on spiritual, emotional, physical, whatever, would together create a larger picture of broad and overpowering strength while simultaneously making it hard for the enemy to pin down one way to fight against such a confusing mixed bag of an opponent. Okay. And so obviously looking at this, you get more information about the flexibility and adaptable electronic warfare solutions because this is a company that provides, again, technologies and services. Does it work? Right. But more so than me going into all of the things that they're offering people, I want to show you who is involved in this type of warfare. So let me go to the next tab. And as you can see, let me see. Can you see the DARPA?
Yes, coming in good,
Okay,
sis. That's even better.
okay, so for those of you that know when you've landed on an official website, right, you'll see dot mil. That means dot military, right? You'll see dot gov for the government, right? And so here we have the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and they're involved in a lot more than mosaic warfare, but this is one of their, initiatives or research or projects, right? And so the concept that is called mosaic warfare, like I explained before, the ceramic tiles and mosaics, these individual war fighting platforms are put together to make a larger picture, or in the case, a force package, force meaning energy and power, right? Force like in physics, right? And so the idea will be to send so many weapons and sensor platforms at the enemy that its forces are overwhelmed. The goal is to take complexity and to turn it into an asymmetric advantage. So you heard me say that asymmetrical warfare is included. It's a part of mosaic warfare. So we're talking about coming from every single possible angle. Okay, so the military goes into again, and if for those of you that don't know about DARPA, I mean, I don't want to go into that because that's when they really start messing with the wires, but you should research a little bit more about DARPA, right? And what were they engaged in related to MK Ultra. Okay. So I just want to say that should be enough to trigger you to do some more research. When you attack in parallel across a wide front and you have distributed your sins, decide, and act systems across a wider number of platforms, you can mass your firepower without having to mass your forces, right? And so DARPA in particular currently is engaged in a lot of the AI technologies, a lot of the nanotechnologies, and a lot of the just different types of warfare other than conventional warfare, okay, other than conventional warfare. So you definitely want to go and do the research, see what they're involved in, look at their research, look at, look, they're involved in a lot of other scientific things than you would have imagined. During the time of Obama, they got more funding and the green light through an executive order to go ahead and move forward with their projects. Okay. And so, in a sense, if you ask me, one entity was ended and the other one, yeah, came into being, right, under a different name. Okay. And we know that we're always at the center of, like Brother C said in the beginning, the attack from all sides. So I'm going to pause right there before I get into our discussion about education, and just stop and see if there's anything else you want me to talk about, or if anybody has any questions in the chat.
I do see a question that I'm gonna put up just for the sake of acknowledging my sister here. And the question is, do everyone believe the book? Um, and I would say emphatically I do, but I also believe that there's other books connected to the book that shed light on what we're doing. But we have enough. There's enough information within the book itself to kind of lead you back to truth. I would say so. The sister asked the question, and so I'm going to ask everyone if you guys can put a one up if you believe it, put a two up if you don't, to this question. Now, sis, to what you said, when you talk about asymmetric warfare against this nation of people, that would include every part of your life.
Yes.
And there's a document. I think that I believe Dr. Claude Anderson and that side came up with these 9 areas where we're under attack. It might be 11. I may have the number screwed up, but he lists every area where we're under attack, and all of those areas it holds true. But I think that the area where this show is focused on is the area when it comes to our children and how they've been under attack.
So if
Um,
you look at what Notorious Hebrew put up, right, and I want to touch
Let
on
me
that
find
for
that. Which
you.
is it? Is it up? Where God said, "Let us make man in our image and our likeness." That one.
Yep. And then
Okay.
after that, okay, so she's talking about dominion. Let them have dominion, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And then I see where she defines dominion, and I think it's a little bit above that where it says power, authority, jurisdiction, control, command, sway, dominion mean the right to govern or rule or determine. Power implies possession of ability to wield force, authority, or influence. Do you see where she put that up?
I'm looking for where that troublemaker put that. She's a troublemaker. I can't find it. I'm gonna kick her out of here.
Don't kick her out. Don't kick her
She
out.
know I'm just playing. I give her that business every time because I see her on the different sites and she be kicking up a fuss, and I'm like, okay, so you're labeled the troublemaker. So I'm
And
looking
this,
for it. I'm looking for it.
yeah.
I don't see it. Mhm.
Sister Notorious Hebrew, can you read?
Okay, here it is. Here it is. I got it. I
Okay,
got it. There it is.
okay.
There it is. There it
So
is.
this hits the conversation on the head right here, right? When
Mhm.
she's talking the dominion part, and then what within this definition of dominion is our role in the kingdom, right? What is our role? What is our, how are we mastering this? Because we are at war, and this asymmetrical or mosaic warfare through military tactics, and all kind of other avenues is coming at us and our children, right? And so we were talking about roles in the kingdom, and she just defined this very beautifully. So I want people to just look at this to really think about what their role is within this dominion, right? Having dominion. What does that mean? Right? And should we just wait till some later date to be mastering this? Or should we be actively in pursuit now?
That's a question to everyone out there. Hey, shalom, sis. Hope you're doing well and take care and be well. Everyone, you have to ask this. Look in the mirror and ask this question of yourself: Is everyone here taking into account what's being shown here? Because if you are, then you would be looking to move in such a way that you're looking to dominate something, not just to
And
be a part of something. You're looking to dominate something in your sphere. Go ahead, sis.
and YouTube, watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos, even though I know like this is where we're at right now, right? On YouTube. I get it. But walking away from that just to watch another video is not the way we're going to be able to do that. Okay. And this is not about guilt. This is just about having a family talk, a discussion about what ways are we mastering our gifts, talents, skills, and abilities, and how are we engaging with what's thrown at us, right? Like you can't be in the middle of a battlefield straddling the fence.
Hmm. So this, in order to achieve this, or in order to achieve this, somebody has to be doing something. Somebody has to be taking, and that's why I always say all hands on deck. Somebody needs to be moving in a manner where they accept their role according to what you see in the book of Deuteronomy. That's why that's one of my favorite books, because it gives you the blueprint. There's enough teachers
Yep.
out there for you to get
Yep.
information upon information upon information. But the question is, what are you going to do with the information that's been given you? What are you doing with it? Are you taking it and trying to get to what ET is saying, rulership? What are we doing? What are we doing? Go ahead, Sid.
Right. No, I'm about to just go to the next thing. I like that, Eric said rulership. Amen. You know, SELAH. I don't know what else to say about that, right? Like I said, I understand my role and hopefully other people that are watch this will understand or begin to pray for wisdom to understand. And so I want to go into the US education system so we have an understanding of what's happening,
But
right?
before you do that, I
Hmm.
want to address the role thing because that is ultra important. I'm gonna give you the mic and I'm gonna go on mute. Now, my role is different than everybody else's role, but I understand what my role is, and I'm actively trying to execute my role. Now, my role is different from this brother's right here, this sister right here, that brother right there, and that sister right there. My role is different. Once you've identified your role, get in your lane and stay in it. Now, what I'm asking for is once this sister got her lane and got her role, where's the support? Anyway, go ahead, sis. I'm going
It's
on mute.
all of our role, though, to protect our children. And it's all of our role to make sure that we protect and fight for the oppressed in our people, the fatherless, orphans, and widows. Okay. It wasn't told to a particular tribe, oh, you guys are the only ones that got to fight for the fatherless, orphans, and widows and make sure they have what they need. I don't, have you seen that? Brother C, because maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't find that it was only assigned to one group of people within the nation to do that.
The crazy part about that statement is that this is like the bare minimum.
Right.
And why do I say that? Everybody, every nation or ethnicity or group or whatever you want to, however you want to frame it in your mind, they have the propensity of taking care of theirs. Let's do the rundown. Asians take care of theirs. Europeans take care of theirs. I mean, you see what the Europeans, how Biden is a European, and he brought Azov Regiment and the Ukrainians, which hate your guts. They here now. They taking care of theirs. Asians take care of theirs. The South Americans take care of theirs. Africans take care of theirs. What about the nation of Israel? What about the nation? Do you take care of yours? I'm going mute.
I mean, if we were, you know what, I'm not going to even say that. Let me just go to this so I can keep myself Right.
I'm not trying to fire you up, but that's just our reality. Our reality is okay. Here's our reality right now. I'm gonna say this. Here's our reality right now. You done got yourself lobotomized. The spirit, the ruach, done lobotomized you and said, "Come out of her, my people," which you came out of Christianity and you put that mess down, and now you're rocking out in your culture. Okay, great, hip hooray! You deserve a medal. Now what you doing? If you looked in the mirror right now, I'm talking about everybody, including me. Go look in the mirror right now and ask yourself, hey, brother C, what have you done today for your nation, for the nation? What are you trying to build for the nation? What are you doing? What would be the answer? What would the mirror say back to me? Mirror, mirror on the wall, what has brother C done for the nation? The mirror would say, brother C, you lazy as hell, you procrastinator, you haven't did nothing, sir. But now the question is to the chat. What have you done, or what are you doing, or what are you looking to do? Or are you waiting like the rapture
Mm.
for this mystical thing to happen when you've already been told that you are at war? You already been told that you is battle axe. So what have you done? Anyway, I'm gonna get off the sofa. Hopefully I said what you wanted to say.
Yes. Thank you. You said it better than I was about to say it, so I appreciate that. Um, and so, I want to talk about what compels people in this nation and all across other nations in this world to drop their children off at schools, and how we can be misinterpreting that to mean that we have to just take them and put them in the hands of our enemy. Okay. So I want to start with the fact that the United States system of education is a system of public common schools. Okay. All states and all neighborhoods have local public schools. Well, how did they get there, right? And so we look at compulsory education, and those are the laws that guide attendance and tell you at what age your child has to be attending an educational program. Okay. So compulsory education laws require children to attend a public or state accredited private school for a certain period of time. There are certain expectations, okay, most notably homeschooling, but virtually all states have mandates for when children must begin and how old they must be before dropping out. Typically, children must start school by the age of 6 and remain enrolled until they are at least 16. These laws were put in place not only to improve literacy rates, but also to discourage widespread child labor practices of the 19th and 20th centuries. Well, we know that these laws have not improved any of the conditions for our children. Okay. And so, it starts to talk about the origins, and I'm going to place this in the chat because I'm not going to go through, well, maybe I can go through this. Okay. Let's go through the origins of compulsory education. And so it said in ancient Judea, even before Plato's The Republic popularized the idea of mandatory education, ish leaders required parents to provide at least an informal education for their children. Okay. And so they're going to talk about the rabbis who founded a number of schools throughout the region and encouraged parents to send their children to schools beginning at the age of 6. And this is also another form of colonialism that Catholics did with missions, telling people how to be educated and what age they needed to send their children to school. So definitely research the missions and how Catholics went around doing that. But the Aztec Triple Alliance, which ruled modern day central Mexico in the 15th and early 16th centuries, is widely credited as being the first nation to make education mandatory for all children. That way, you can understand the history of our system of public schools. Okay. With the Reformation, beginning with Martin Luther, called for mandatory schooling laws to ensure that more Christians could read the Bible on their own. Okay. That was in 1524. We know that we weren't a part of that process in their conversation, right? This was something that was done by Martin Luther. Like I said, it has a Catholic lean to it. As the Reformation spread throughout Europe, okay, and so did the enactment of mandatory education laws. But while Scotland established an education mandate for the children of privileged families in 1496, and I want y'all to pay attention to these dates, this mandate didn't include commoners until the country enacted the School Establishment Act of 1616. Okay. The concept of compulsory school attendance gradually spread to other parts of the world, primarily based on the system set up by Prussia in 1763. Okay. Massachusetts is the first U.S. state to enact a compulsory education law in 1852. We know where we were at, right? Having already passed a similar law in 1647 when it was still a British colony. The 1852 law required every city and town to offer primary school focusing on grammar and basic arithmetic. Parents who refused to send their children to school were fined and, in some cases, stripped of their parental rights, and their children apprenticed to others. Prior to the Massachusetts law and other states without such laws, education typically was provided by private schools run by churches. Since they also charged tuition, poor children were excluded or received informal schooling at home. That would change during the immigration boom between the 19th and 20th centuries, as education was seen as the best way to assimilate immigrant children. This is the US we're talking about. Okay. During that time, numerous states enacted compulsory education laws designed to take education out of the hands of parochial schools and primarily into the purview of state run public schools. These actions were taken in a growing response to the fear of immigrant values and the Catholic Church itself. The Supreme Court later overturned the so called compulsory education laws that required students to attend public schools only. Okay. And so they talk about child labor being another motivation. But, I mean, look, we know that when these people talk, they're hypocrites because they did forced labor with us for times when they were making these decisions, right? Mississippi was the last state to pass a law requiring school attendance in 1917. Still, enforcement of these state laws was largely ineffective until states began to realize the value of an educated workforce, right? So you can see here the current compulsory education. The only people that have an exception to the rule around compulsory education, the Amish are the only people that are exempted from compulsory schooling. Okay. But I think what needs to be said, and I'm gonna stop this, is that compulsory schooling, they set up schools so that people can meet the requirement to have their children from ages 6 to 17 or 5 to 18, whatever your state's rule says. But that's not, the public schools are not the only place that children can receive their education, have a right to be able to homeschool their children. You have to look in your, yes, indoctrination centers. You have to look in your state's rules to be able to, I'm going to show you how to find that, to be able to understand what your outright your right is to be able to homeschool or privately educate children in your neighborhood. Okay. So here we are at the National Center for Education Statistics, because I think that it is very helpful for you guys to understand what data is being looked at when they're talking about us. What data are they researching? What data are they looking at state to state? How compulsory school attendance laws are being monitored, and what are the age requirements, right? So here you can see that there is a education table, and it shows you, I'm sorry you guys. Okay. Oh man, I guess they don't want me to click on that. The state, the age of required school attendance, the maximum age limit. A lot of people say, well, they forced me to take our kids to school. Yeah, that's not quite the full story, right? So here's the states: Alabama, age of required school attendance, 6 to 17. right? So if kids are 17, they can drop out of school because that's the rule. If they don't want to keep going, they can drop out. Now, do I, say they should do that? No, but it can be done, right? Legally. Minimum age limit to which free education must be offered. And it'll show you some states have 4 years old, some states have 5 years old, right? Some start at 6. Okay. There used to be where Michigan said 7, but I think they changed that recently because the literacy rates were so bad. Okay. You see these different numbers, and I'll put this information in the chat. Okay. So let me stop sharing on that one and go to a different one because I just want you guys to get an understanding of what is being said, what is being researched, and the laws behind compelling people to put their kids in schools. Okay. So, hold on one second. I'm sorry, Brother C. I'm trying to switch tabs.
Take your time. You want me to remove this screen? You got it. You good.
Do you see the new tab up? Okay. So, again, you can look this up and you'll get a definition. If you look up compulsory education, it'll tell you like compulsory education refers, because I want people to have as much information as possible, right? Um, to a period of education that is required of all people and imposed by the government. Okay. This education may take place at a registered school at other places. Compulsory school attendance or compulsory schooling means that parents are obliged to send their children to a certain school. Okay. And so that's more information about that. And what I want to do is just look up a state. I just want to look up a state so that I can show you guys how to find the compulsory education laws state by state. So, say for instance, I look up Wisconsin. Okay. And I'm going to go to this tab. Let me switch tabs. Sorry. Okay, can you see my Google tab?
Yes, this comes in. You're good.
Okay. So if I go on Google, say for instance, you guys want to just go look up where you're at. If I go on Google and I say Wisconsin, and I don't know if anybody's from Wisconsin, right? Um, sorry, I spelled that wrong. Compulsory school attendance law. Okay. It's going to take you to the Department of Education for the state or the Department of Public Instruction. It's the same thing. I don't know why it did that. It's probably my internet. Give it a little bit to load. Okay. So here we are at the Wisconsin Public Instruction Department. And they're going to put right here, the rule: responsibility for school attendance. The public school shares responsibility with students and caregivers to ensure school age children are enrolled, right? And then they're going to refer to a statute that is in their compiled laws or constitution, because these things have to be restated in their legislation, especially because they're linked to funding, right? And then they go further to talk about what free appropriate public education, which is something that is also talking about special education, right? So just to let you know that this is why parents typically will get in trouble with the truancy boards, because this is how they get their money: seat-based attendance, compelling people to bring children to public school, and counting those children according to attendance is how they get their money. And if you are disrupting that attendance, you're going to be accountable under their truancy laws. Okay. Now, if as you see on this website, they're not going to really give you very much information about your rights. They're just going to tell you about what they are obligated to share. But if I then go and look up Wisconsin's, sorry, let me go back to the Google sharing so that I can look it up so people can see it. I got to bring it back in.
Take your time. You good. No
Okay.
rush.
And so I'm gonna look up Wisconsin's homeschool
Go ahead and
laws.
share your
Okay.
screen. Share your screen.
Oh, okay. I see. I'm working with it. I'm working with it. Okay. Let's see.
That's all right.
Share my screen. All right. So this is how you would look up for your state. Like, okay, well, what is it that I have the right to do? Okay. And the Homeschool Legal Defense Association is one of the biggest defenders of homeschool, but it's not, I don't know how to say it. It's not us. It's not us defending us, right? And so, it's from the perspective, if you want to look it up, you'll see for yourself. I'm sorry. I don't even want to go there. So anyway, you got to look it up in particular to be able to see what they say, because they're not going to give it to you on the page where you see the compulsory education laws, right? So right here, usually every single state has a form or an affidavit that parents need to submit that they intend to privately educate or home-based private education their own child, right, for each school year. Okay. And so I want to pause right there, because I know a lot of people say, well, you know what, I'm gonna just take my child out and I'm gonna homeschool them. Well, did you notify the state that you were gonna do that? Because they will come for you, right? And so there's a
Okay, hold
way
on a
that,
second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Now, I want you to break this down real quickly. When you say they will come for you, give me a breakdown on what exactly that means. Because in my mind, that means Child Protective Services is going to take your child. You're going to get thrown in jail.
yes, that's exactly what that can lead to. So if the local public school know that there is a child within their neighborhood who is of legal age to be attending their school but is not, and they do not find an affidavit or a home-based private education signature on file, or the parent's stated intent to privately educate their child, they will send the Department of Children's Services or Child Protective Services or someone from the school district itself to go find out what's going on with that child.
Okay, I'm going to ask another question. Please forgive me. But okay, so there's got to be Israelites teaching online, teaching our children online. Would that qualify as an example of a school that's regulated? They got the proper curriculum and they'll guide you, help guide you so that instead of sending my
Yes.
child to public school, I could do it online?
Yes. And so that is the call, right? Like those people that are, like I educate my children at home, right? And they receive services that are contracted sometimes through other entities like math academies and whatever, but collating that and putting it together for our children as a nation is going to require everybody to be involved. Okay. And so look, there are some ways to be able to do this, and at the same time legally state your intention as a parent or family that, look, this is my right, I'm exercising it, I have my child in home-based education. If you don't state that that's what you're intending to do, then it gives the states a legal ability to come into your home and figure it out.
And that figuring out includes they're gonna throw your monkey behind in jail.
Well, you said it, right? And so that's why I wanted to share this first. I wanted to share this first so that people can understand, yes, you do have a right. You can do this, and we can combine services. Say for instance, I have a brother over in Seattle that has a math academy, right? I send my son to his math academy, and if I have family members in Texas that host virtual classes in English language arts, right? I can have my child sign up for that. But if I don't record all of this and make sure that I understand my state's requirement. I'm in California, and we can homeschool our children here or privately educate them, but we have to fill out an affidavit every October telling the state of California that we plan to privately educate our own children. I need y'all to hear that, because we'll be the first ones they come after, right? Then they will come and they will knock on your door and either use the law to compel your child out and into their schools. Or if they feel like you don't have any proof of an adequate program that you're offering your children, right? They'll come and pull them out and force them into their schools. And when parents don't want to allow them to do that, then they force the child out of the home into the care of child protective services. Is that clear?
I would ask the question, is that clear to everyone? If it's clear to you, what they will do to you, put a one up in the chat. It's clear to me. I want to make a couple of comments, if I may. Um, uh,
Yes.
okay, so it sounds as if, okay, they want to. It's a two-pronged effort. They want to keep you in so they can keep collecting the money, but they also want to keep you in so that they can keep indoctrinating you with the dumb stuff that they teach in public school. I see that
Yep.
as one issue. But then on another side, I see that when they're counting our children, I'm going to go on record as saying that there's more of our children in public school and on in the snakes than what we realize. And what I want to harken back to is the 3/5 compromise. Do you know? And I know you know, but and I know the family knows. I'm just going to bring this back to your remembrance. The 3/5 compromise was when they counted you, for every five of you, they only counted three. So three of five of you equal three white men. Let that sink in. Because if that's how they were counting, when did they change and stop counting that way? Because you've been stuck on 13%, and they use that, the white supremacists use that 13% of the 13% of the population. You're 13% of the population, and you commit 70% of the crime, 80% of the crime, 100% of the crime, which we know that's a lie. So this is all related to that numbers game that they've been playing on us.
Yep.
But but don't get caught up though. Go ahead, sis. Don't get caught up. I'm going mute. Don't get caught up.
No, 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 no. You go ahead and say that, right? Because that segues into what I'm going to show next, which is how they're doing this counting and calculating and watching and all of the things that we know that are happening with regards to them. I just call it a spirit of monitoring and surveilling, right? I don't know how else to put this. And I do believe that there are more of us and our children engaging with the public school system out of fear because we don't understand our right to privately educate. We don't understand how to set up systems of private education. We don't understand the laws that empower us to be able to say we're going to homeschool our children or we're going to set up learning centers or hubs for our children, right? And so typically what people do is just automatically concede their children to the public school. And we know when we do that, our children are literally fighting for their lives and well-being. And if you guys want to see the current situation that I'm, advocating for, go and look at my page in the community chat. But you need to understand that when you send your child into the hands of your enemy, their lives are at stake. And that's not a fear tactic, that's the truth.
Can we
Okay.
can we entertain that for just a moment, because I think that's very very important. Put your website up again in the chat. I don't want to scroll all the way up because I'm lazy as hell. So put your website in the chat. And we're gonna go there. We're actually gonna physically go there. We're gonna take a look and poke around at the website. Because here's the thing, family. The sister got her lane, and this information that she's given should be on every major so-called African American channel. You don't have to say that it's salt of the earth production. You don't have to say none of that. But she should be on every major Israelite channel first of all, and then on the mainstream was like my brother Phil from the Advice Show. Any
Can I answer?
Reed, go ahead, sis. Go
So
ahead.
I want to address Pamya's statement. I check on the curriculum. So know that if you decide to set up a learning center in your neighborhood for our children, homeschool or help other people privately educate our children, um, you don't have to use the curriculum, right? Because again, we're talking about an intent to privately educate our own children. You don't have to use the curriculum. You just have to make sure the children meet the standards. Okay. So if they're in first grade, there are standards that they need to meet, right? Second grade standards that they need to meet, third grade. And typically when we decide to homeschool and privately educate our children, or have learning centers or set up different kinds of schools for our children, they excel those meeting those standards. But when we send them to the traditional public local schools, they stagnate them. Our
On
children
purpose.
on
On
purpose.
purpose.
It's like, control by deprivation. I'll call it that.
Okay, and then what they also do is they try to make it seem like there's something wrong with our children while they stagnating them on purpose and vilifying them on purpose. Do me a
Yes.
favor, sis. Go to your site because somebody's jiggling wires on my on this computer I'm on right now. I can't even get to your site. It say reload or
Wow.
can't find it. Why they doing that? I don't know. So go ahead and go to it,
Okay.
and then we'll bring it.
Well,
We'll share it.
we'll give no place, attention, or authority to Hasatan. I'll go ahead and
That's so stupid. To me, you guys are stupid. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all stupid as hell doing that. It's dumb. Why do that? It's not gonna. You're not gonna stop nothing.
because
Jeez.
we're talking about making sure our community and our children are fortified, right? And they
Boy.
want us to be in a perpetual state of begging and pleading with them. Okay. In a perpetual state of servitude and a perpetual state of begging. I don't know if we lost you, Brother C. Are you there? But I
Yeah, I'm
have the
here. Can you
site
hear
up.
me? It's
Yep, I
up.
can
It's on
hear
the
you.
screen. It's on the screen.
Okay.
Go ahead and
So
run through. I want you to
here,
point to some of the current stuff that's happening. But give us a quick rundown on your site again, please. I'm gonna go on mute.
so I'm gonna have to go to my social media to show you guys some of the current things that's happening, because I didn't have a chance to pause and add them to the site over the past few weeks. That's how quickly things move. Okay. But if you land on my site, you're going to land here. You see me in the front of a group of students who I had to go and battle hard for. I usually am the one that will show up when the students call me, right? Or contact me and say, hey, we need your help. All right. And so, as you can see, I do trainings and consulting resources to parents and families and communities so that they can build power and fortify themselves to combat racism and oppression. Okay. And so this is a relentless pursuit. It's a relentless pursuit for justice, and I'm very targeted in my approach. It's not a coalition, rainbow coalition. I say exactly who I'm coming for. And I say exactly who I advocate for and exactly what I'm doing. It's no secret about what I do, right? And I do this all across the nation. Okay. And so here are some of
Hold
the
on a second.
things that
Hold on. I must interrupt you because I don't think you made it clear. They didn't hear you in the back. So now, when you're dealing with this sister, she's not talking about no people of color. She not talking about rainbow coalition, like you said, including every nation of people, putting them first. This is for us, by us, about us, because we don't get it twisted like that on
brother
this channel. Go ahead, sis.
brother see, where are the people of color when we are getting attacked? I want to know. Where are the people of, because last time I saw, I don't it's just us. Okay. So where are the people of color? the time when the people of color come out is when they can step up on us like a ladder to gain some kind of benefit for themselves. Is that the people of color that you're talking about? Because I don't know who they are.
That's exactly who they are, and that's exactly why we should never have that in our vernacular. See, we've been bamboozled by a group of people, and I'm gonna call them for what for exactly who they are. The boule, the talented tent, the boule Bobs and Bettys have bamboozled your mind, thinking when you talk about people of color, we must put everybody in front of us and have that fake, that false piety which they getting paid for. I don't benefit by using the phraseology people of color, nor do my people benefit from that. We are the ones that need the most help on the planet. And thank the Most High that the Father is rocking out with us. And He's rocking out
Yep.
with us. Anyway, I'm a yield before I
Yep.
get too fired up.
And if we're willing to put our talents into motion, if that's what the Most High is calling you to do, but I know that He is calling all of us to make sure that we look after the fatherless, orphans, and widows, right? And execute justice and righteous judgments. Then you will see how that talent begins to grow. And like I said, I've literally been home for a couple of hours from the last situation that I was in. And this is going to be an ongoing situation with the worst possible outcome of a child dying in the hands of a public school, right? And that's as much as I can say about it, right? But typically, when I step out into the scene, whether it's here, Nashville, New Orleans, Milwaukee, Detroit, I'm going all over and I'm looking around. I don't see the people of color or us. It's usually me and the family, and a lot of predators surrounding that situation to try to get some sort of notoriety or moment of attention, but that is not what we showed up for, right? And so I just wanted to make sure that is well understood. Um so so okay, here's the website, and again, there's things on this website that can help people. Here I am with another group of kids. A lot of times, children call me. Children themselves, high schoolers, call me, and they spread my number around. Okay, this particular um, information that you see in the purple and the blue is a school that we just got in Bakersfield. Okay, now I went to Bakersfield in Bakersfield, California, is ranked the worst place in the nation for people to live, breathe, work, and go to school, and for children to grow up. And we were oppressed the most. I'll just say that. So I got with the community and I asked them, what you want to do? Here are the laws in the state of California. Here is what our legal demand needs to be. And here is what our community action needs to be. And let's utilize the public laws and our rights to educate our children and form a school. And that is exactly what we did. And that school will be opening for that community in 2024. And that school will be publicly funded. Now, can you teach some of the things that we would like to teach as a nation? No, I'm not at that point, because the community wanted a public charter school, and that's what we opened, designed to quote unquote bridge the achievement gap. So it's very targeted, right? And so each community that I go to, we sit down and we create an action, and I make that plan come to fruition for that community. And it's based on the need and what they need to do and what they have the ability to do. So Bakersfield is one of those places where now we have a school that will be opening in 2024. Okay. And so then, we talk about people need help in advocating. I have toolkits that are public. You can go and just download this and give it to your cousin or auntie or sister or brother, whoever's having a baby, right? This will tell them step by step what to expect in having their child and how to advocate for their child through different stages of life, right? This is catered to us, right? And I made that for us, okay? And so I want to go to I talk about the issues on here, and I don't really I have news articles. I'm sorry, I'm going to go fast through this so I can get down to it. Excuse me for that scrolling. Know your rights, understanding the legal framework of where we're at, how to fill out a civil rights violation complaint, right? And then people, there's another picture of me and students. And here are some of the articles, okay, of cases that I've been involved in or spearheaded. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this so I can take you guys to the toolkits that I've provided and made just with our people in mind. Okay. Let me go, I'm sorry, to the right website first. Okay. And then let me bring it up. Okay. And so when you arrive at this one, these specifically have the toolkits to help people, if you know parents, understand um, how to advocate for themselves, right? When I talk about advocacy, I talk about intervening, speaking up for someone that doesn't have the ability or understanding or power to speak up for themselves, the capability, right? You know, being that intermediary, not allowing for them to be alone in their process, not allowing for them to go in just based on emotion, but giving them the legal demand that they need to have. And so here is, like I said again, the toolkit that is a parent handbook. You'll see that it talks about self-care, and there is a, you know, quotes on that. And I created this. It's free. Go get it. Give it to somebody. All they got to do is flip through it on their phone, right? Flip through it on their phone, just like I'm flipping through it right now, you know, just like I'm talking about brain facts, right? Talking about development, right? What to expect from your child. All of these things that are critical to understanding your child as they're growing. You might know somebody that you're thinking about now that needs to look at this. I created this, and they can just go and look at it, and it doesn't cost anything for them to just be able to download it, do whatever they need to do. They can call me if they have questions, right? I talk about, you know, intellectual freedom, right? Being able to read and write what we need to be able to read and write without it being suppressed and shut down, right? And be able to talk freely. And then here is for those parents that are struggling to understand what is happening in the special education system and how to effectively navigate that, because our kids get stuck in classrooms that they shouldn't be in, and you know, written up legal documents that are legally binding called 504s and IEPs, and then the parents are in a whole web of things that they don't even know, processes they don't even know how to get their child out. Okay. And so I created this with those parents in mind. And they can go right to this site and download it, PDF it, look at it. They could be in a meeting. What does this mean? Here are the definitions, right? What are they saying about my kid? Here it is, right here. Nobody's going to say, hey, you know, except for us, Christina has something over here. Go and check it out. It's free. You can use it. You could be in the meeting and look it up on your phone and know what they're saying about your kid. And then, you know, don't sign anything. Contact her. She'll help you, but I'm telling you that that's what I'm here for. Okay. So that people can understand, so we can understand, I'm sorry, what is happening to our children and providing those solutions. And so down here will be another video. This website, like I said, is just created particularly with the things that some of our families might need on the spot. On the spot. So I'm going to stop sharing it, and if you have anything you want to talk about with that, about those resources.
Well, two things. One, I want to say this. This is very, very important. That's why I keep saying that it's this. She should be speaking in front of every so-called African American Israelite channel. I don't care if they're talking about sports. I don't care if they're talking about makeup, hair, fashion. Everybody that's out there that looks like us, that's from the snakes, should be in contact with this sister, and she should have be utilizing their platform so that this is in the minds and frontal lobe of all of us, because it's all of our responsibility, right? Now, here's what I want you to do is and you take up whatever time you need. Can you cover some of the atrocities or some of the things you've been having to handle? Because this needs to be in front of mind, because what you're going to speak on happens in every city in the snakes, and it happens where our people are. And they're doing this to our people. They're not doing it to the Asians. They're not doing it to the whites. They're not doing it to the Hispanics. They're not doing it to the so called Africans. They're doing this to us.
Of
So I
course.
want you to
So
go
I
and
want
cover
to,
some of that. Go ahead.
yeah. And so I'm going to go to take you guys over to my Facebook page. And since right now, this issue has turned into a legal matter, the very most recent. I'm just going to show you the things that are being said publicly so you'll have an understanding of what I mean when I say that our children are literally fighting for their very lives when we send them to these local public schools. Okay. So let's see. Can you see the and I shared this out. Can you see the Facebook page?
All is good. We can see it. You can zoom
So
in.
if
If
you
you can
guys
zoom
are
in on it.
looking, okay. So if you guys are, I typically share things sometimes in my YouTube community and on all of my pages. And so if you guys are looking for my Facebook page, you would go right here, okay? And I'll put this in the chat too so you'll have the direct link. That's the school that I said we formed in Bakersfield by a community effort. Some of the things that I shared, my granddaughter. Um, Let me go down to it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go down to it, brother. Okay. So I had to put out a public notice because I'm the advocate and spokesperson for a family that tragically lost their 12-year-old son um, because of a school incident. Okay, I'm going to call it that. All right. And so, as you can see right here, someone describes this incident. 12-year-old Yeshua Robinson, August 29th, 2023, started as a typical fun filled school day. But while taking part in his PE activities at school, he collapsed and became unresponsive. A tragedy we believe was brought by the sweltering heat. Okay. Despite the response and care of medical professionals, he tragically succumbed to what somebody is calling and framing cardiac arrest, but they don't have all of the reports. So that was just a family member who, stated these things. And this is Yeshua. Okay. And so there are a lot of circumstances involved, statements that I had to take from parents and families and community members about the condition of education in that place. And when I say our children are not safe with these people, I mean it and I can't overstate that. Unfortunately, out of all the situations that I dealt with, this was the worst possible outcome imaginable, right? But we cannot wait for these types of situations to happen, okay? Where everybody now is coming together for a vigil. The parents cannot ever get their child back. And so, there's a media frenzy going around, but in me, as the family's advocate and spokesperson, I'm definitely gonna protect the family during their time of mourning and suffering and grieving. And I told them biblically that looks like 30 to 40 days, right? And so I'm making all of the statements on behalf of the family. What typically happens in these kinds of situations is that the media wants to run and throw cameras in our face. Okay. The media wants to, and I'm going to stop sharing that and I'm going to go to another, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to another thing that I was involved in. And so what they want to do, what they don't do to other communities, is catch us in our mourning and grief. It's almost like a sick and twisted sadistic pleasure, like public lynchings, where they want to see crying black moms or whatever you identify as, people that look like us, and dads who are bereaved, right? And so when a family contacts me, I am very militant in the way that I expose certain things or allow media to come into our faces, and the media gets upset. I've had to talk to 20 media platforms to tell them to back off, okay, and allow the family the opportunity that everyone else gets to mourn privately. Why? Because they want to take and sensationalize a story, tie it to a political agenda, and then it no longer becomes about our suffering. It becomes about those other groups and their political agenda or their sensational idea of what they want to do and how they're going to get money and create whatever laws they want to create to protect themselves. And so immediately I say, no, not doing that. Okay. They get a satisfaction off of our suffering. I can't overstate that. But at the core of this is our children are not safe in the hands of our enemy. Our children are not safe in the hands of our enemy up into the point of death. You can't get your child back then.
You've repeated that. I want you to repeat that one more time because I don't believe that Israel really understands the gravity of the situation. Can you repeat that
We
again? How important it is, please?
cannot send our children to our known historical enemy and expect for them to care for our children. It begs the question, are they even human?
I ask that question all the time. Some people call him Esau. Some people call him Yaffa. I don't. And I'm to the point where hell no, they're not human. I don't know what they are. On record. On record, because there's no human means you got to have hue, and then also there's another word that comes with humanity. To whereas these people have been fitted for destruction according to the book, but they don't have no humanity. Because if you had some humanity, you would say, okay, we have pressed these people all the way down to the bottom. It wasn't you use a tool that the Father used to press us all the way down to the bottom. Let's give them a little bit of grace. We Christians, we Christians. Let's do the right thing. But now that would be called CRT and wokeism if we gave them some grace. No, nigger, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's your fault. You victim shame and you blame the victim. I blame you, Negro. It's your fault that you in this predicament and plight. But family, listen. It's incumbent upon all of
So
us, no matter where we live. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
I'm going to bring up another situation, right? That people might also be familiar with, that I spearheaded, and the family contacted me. And can you see that? Okay, can you see that right there? So I don't know if y'all um, remember seeing this situation with the black dad and the little girl in Michigan, in Mount Pleasant, who the librarian decided to shear her like a sheep. Okay, this dad contacted me and said, I have no help. I said, of course you have no help because you're a black man. You thought you was going to get help? He tried to reach out to several organizations that we know Negro leaders abide in. Nobody would help him. So I said, fine, this is what I need you to do. I will help you. He appointed me as his advocate, and his lawsuit was settled about a month ago. Okay. Um, but they cut her hair and said it was because they didn't like the way it looked. Right. And so people believe, oh, well, we have mixed children and, different things like that. They're going to be immune to this level of attack. Nah, that could be the furthest from the truth. The master had mixed children too. Right. And so I became the advocate in that situation. And I can tell you that they don't, they believe they own our bodies and our kids' bodies. And how dare we allow our children to have curly hair? Or how dare we tell them that, they don't own our bodies and our children's bodies? That just goes to show you back to property, right?
And I don't know if you want to go into it. I believe we went into it when we talked about this the first time. There's more to this story than meets the eye and the people that are involved. I don't know if you want to go into that or not, but there's more to this story than meets the eye, and I'm gonna leave it at that. If the sister want to go into it, she can. But fam, the people that we dealing with, we not only dealing with the hatred part of it, but they involved in some stuff. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Sis, if you want to go into it, you can. If not, we can keep it moving.
Let's just look at their statement, right? They tried to put out a statement. I was putting out statements, of course, to tell the truth. And they were putting out statements, to say what they wanted to say. But let's just look at, let me see their statement. Let me see if I can find it really fast. One second. Okay. I think it's going to be on their social media. And I want you guys to look at the symbols on their statements, right? I want you to start paying attention to the symbols used on these school districts statements, and ask yourself, are they pagan symbols? Are they phallic worship symbols? What are they? And so I'm going to try to zoom in on this one. Uh-oh. I zoomed and it went smaller. I don't know what happened. Let me see. I think that I have to go down instead of up. Okay. So here's the school board's response to what I put out, calling for accountability against the bigotry and discrimination, because they didn't have no business cutting her hair, and you can kind of vaguely see this symbol. Okay. So once I saw that symbol, I knew that there was more than meted the eye over here happening in Mount Pleasant. So I began to look up some of the names of the people that were signing these letters, and what I found was a well-oiled machine of witches. And I'm just gonna say it. Okay. Witches on the
I don't
board.
think they hurt you. They didn't hear you. They didn't hear you. Can you repeat that, please? Nobody hurt you when you said that. Repeat that, please. They not. They. I don't think nobody paying attention. I was paying attention. Go ahead, repeat that, please.
Witches. Witches on the board running the school, because the question was, what happened to the child's hair? Okay. And they were known witches with blogs. They had blogs and websites, personal addresses, and nobody wanted to address the issue. And I said, well, wait a minute. How come none of you want to address the issue? And I'm calling them out for being witches. And the next thing I know, Governor Whitmore comes up on her Twitter on a public, notification that she's a witch with a book about witches. And they think it's funny. Now, you just took this child's hair and did I don't know what with it. I'm calling y'all out for your double standards of being a part of the school board and using symbols and all of this other stuff. And the governor backs them because they're all witches. Now, I mean, it's not by a coincidence that these symbols are being used. And it's being done with public dollars and being done in public schools. And our children, we're sending them in there without any thought. You're sending them to witches. So I just want that to settle in people's minds for a minute.
We covered this before, and we covering it again because again, family, this is ultra important. If you know of children, and sis, we need to talk about, because okay, there should be a mass exodus of Israelites out of public food into home, but it should be a phased approach. Don't jump out the window, but the sister got the tools and the keys to get you and set you in the right direction. And don't worry about if you have to do it all yourself, because you
So
don't have to do it all yourself. Go ahead, sis.
so it couldn't have even been a coincidence that literally 9 months after I dealt with the situation about them cutting the little child's hair while at school, and school is not a place for them to cut hair anyway, right? School is not a beauty salon. You're not even a licensed facility to cut hair. Can you see this?
Yes.
That I get a call from another parent in Mount Pleasant, same place where the witches work. Okay. And this call is about a little boy who is currently suing the same district that the black man with the daughter who they cut hair off sued for $1.4 million. Now they're suing, searched him and locked him in a room. And he happened to have his phone with him to show that he was literally sitting on the floor of what looked like a closet with no windows and one door. And he was locked in. Now, you guys can go look this stuff up and you'll see the video that he took. But in his mind, because he had been abused so long by this place, he thought he was in school suspension. He thought that's what in school suspension was supposed to look like, right? That's his mom. And again, 9 months later, and maybe I could just play the video. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and play it. And I'll try to make it bigger. Okay, y'all seen that, right? Did
Yeah, we saw it. We
did
saw it. The
everybody get
video's
an
a little
opportunity
bit.
to see that?
Yeah, we saw it. It was a little bit gargle. Put the link in for everybody so we can so everybody can take a look at it. And yeah, everything that we're doing here is under fair use, and we're not monetized anyway. So, but yeah, I'll put the. Let me see. Do I have a back? I don't want to run the whole
Right,
banner, but I appreciate that,
right.
ET. So this
And
is all
so
under the Fair Use Act. Go ahead, sis.
so then I'm sitting here in the faces of these wicked demons again. Um, they didn't get your lesson the first time, and this is typical. That they will try to one up their tactics of warfare. Like, oh, you know, we meant that one to not get the attention that it got or anyone to come and help. So we'll just go do something else to another child. And it's just unending, right? Unending. And typically, like I said, when parents, when I go to a town and parents see that I'm helping another parent, I get a influx of parents asking me, please help me, please help me, please help me. And they all look like us. Okay. And sometimes, just depending on the volume that I can personally handle, it takes me some time to be able to sort through all of those situations. Okay. And so, look, I try to train people to say, come along and help. Don't think that the organizations are going to come and save you. So hopefully, what I hope for is that by the time I leave, I've educated the parents so much on how to fight these things that they'll then pay it forward. Okay.
I got a question
Now,
for you. I got a question for you before you move
mhm,
forward. When you
mhm.
say the organizations are not going to help you, can you please tell me who you speak of? Because I don't. I know the family understand, but I want you to say it so that we get it on this recording.
Civil rights organizations.
Okay, so that includes the NAACP, the Black Talkers or the Black Caucus, Rainbow Coalition, any other organization that's Boule driven. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, I've reached out to them several times. I used to be involved in them as one of their top advocates, right? I was volunteering my time in the NAACP, volunteering my time in the National Action Network, right? And I rose to the ranks very quickly because guess what? There's not a lot of people that understand education, law, policy, and code. Right. And especially what to do with when you have to do things that require a legal impact or a case. And so I rose to the ranks, but I found that, it was again, I'm doing this without the backing and the support. The resources are being used for other things, of course, like police brutality and, when someone dies. But I'm saying protect our children now so they don't have to die.
And in reality, this is the most important thing that we as Israelites need to be involved in, and that's the advocacy and making sure that our children are phased out of public school with a mass exodus, and that we doing it ourselves. Parents, if you have children, anybody on this live stream that got children or that has somebody that's about to birth a child or bring a child into this wicked system that we live in our while we're transitioning, because we in a transition, and part of our transition would be say no to allowing your enemy to train up your child in the way that they should go. They're gonna train up your child in foolishness. Period. We lost our sister. Hopefully she come back, but they're gonna train them up in not the way that they should go. They're gonna train them up and lobotomize their mind to do devilment, or they're gonna destroy them outright. So if y'all got family or youngsters or people that that are still continuing to have their child in public fool, you need to make sure that you get them out. They need to get out, and it's gonna be phased. And parents, you can't have the idea that, oh, I don't want to do it, or it's too heavy, or it's too much. No, that's what the sister's here for. I want to ask this question: do y'all believe that the family, our ancestors that was around with Harriet Tubman, do they didn't understand who Harriet Tubman was at the time, and Harriet Tubman was doing a great work, and she got a famous quote. And y'all can go get that quote. You can go run and get it. But this is what we facing right now, family. We facing this as a group, not as individuals. It's time out for you acting like, oh
No,
yeah, this
we're
is this
this
is this is one on one. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead. Rock that.
this is the mosaic warfare that includes the asymmetrical attack on all of us. It's not happening in this way to any other people.
Do y'all understand when they use that phraseology? They use your phraseology against you. Mosaic. Where that come from?
Hmm.
Where did
They
that come
telling you who
from?
they attacking.
They're telling you right, put it right in front of your face. They say if you want to hide something from a Negro, put it in a book. Well, I disagree with that because we well read. That was a lie that they used to make themselves feel good. We definitely well read, but now we need to be well activated and put things to action, not just talking about it.
Right.
I hate that.
So
I hate that
I,
with a passion. Go ahead.
I want to share another situation that came to me, and you know, so that this is outside of the school. You were talking about, and I don't know if you can see that. Can you see this where it says Tennessee Lookout?
Yeah, it's up. It's on the
Okay.
screen.
So I don't know if you guys saw a few months ago, parents were traveling from Georgia to Tennessee and got stopped, and all five of their children got taken away. Okay. And particularly within Tennessee and Georgia, there are some issues with the Department of Children's Services taking our children the most. It's like a marketplace, right? And this is not a conspiracy. I'm dealing on the ground with the situations and issues, confronting this head on. Okay. And so, of course, in a lot of these situations become legal, you have to have an attorney. I typically will gather the information, evidence, and then know what to do, how to deal with it. They're like puzzle pieces, put it together, and here's the plan of attack. Right. This family was able to, with the help of myself in the beginning, and then attorneys, and other people that I instructed what to do in the community, get their children back in less than 60 days. That's unheard of. So I want you to know part of that was me going to find one of us in the community who could house all 5 of those children so that they wouldn't be split up. That person took all 5 of the children and kept them while the parents fought the state. Instead of, because what the Department of Children's Services wanted to do was start sending children to different states. Indiana, let's see who's over here that could find them, so that they would be so far away from their parent that it was nearly impossible for them to get them back. But that didn't happen because we were able to advocate, to intermediate, to intervene, so that the worst situation that could have happened, that's happening to many of our children across this nation, separated from their parents, separated from their homes for either vagrancy types of things, that they used for convict leasing, or either made up and trumped up charges where the state doesn't even have evidence, but because they have the pen and the paper to write it down, they're able then to be the voice of authority. And if nobody comes in and says, get those kids out of there, and stands in the gap, the parents are overwhelmed and emotional. Yeah, we would like to go in hand-to-hand combat, but in a codified system, you got to understand the laws, policies, and codes to to get justice, because we know if any of these parents would have went around beating people up, shooting people, burning buildings down, what would happen? We know what would happen. They would wait for us to do that because they got a place for that, and the kids would still be gone. And so this is what it looks like to be actively in pursuit, executing justice and righteous judgments in the land of your captivity. You have to understand this codified, webbed system, Greco-Roman law ideology, even if we don't like it and don't agree with it. But that's the only way we're going to get our children out of the grips of these people. You can't, you can go beat them, you can go beat up the DA if you want to. What's that going to do? Not going to get the kids back.
It's gonna get you on a one-way ticket to being locked up and in perpetual slavery with the in the industrial prison complex, which is a slave machine.
Brother, you see those prisoners in Stillwater protesting right now?
Yeah, I saw a brother. They had snuck in a cell phone, and he was talking about how the guards was treating him, beating on him, jumping on him for no reason, and
Mhm.
the crazy stuff that the guards have been doing, knowing that these guards, 99.9% of them is white supremacists, and they hate your guts. Being in prison is the worst thing for any so-called African American, aka Israelite, because not only do they have it gunning for you, but they want to kill you anyway. And it's just an easy way for them to mistreat you, beat the hell out of you, and nobody gonna say nothing.
I want to pose a question about that, right? What kind of person does it take to willingly lock themselves up and watch you locked up every day.
You got to be sick in the mind. You got to be sick in the mind, but you sick in the mind and you have an agenda.
Right.
There's an agenda behind that whole prison industrial complex. They got these brothers and sisters locked up, making all of this money for these big corps and paying them pennies, a penny an hour or two or three, way less than minimum wage. And you can't even take care of yourself. But the question you pose is interesting because you're locked up with a bunch of people who you deem as savages and less than, but then you're there to guard and oversee them. What's in your mind that suggests that this is okay?
Yeah, you leave the outside world every day to go and lock yourself up with so-called savages. So what does that say about you? I mean, I know they, try to say it's rehabilitation and well, we're rehabbing them. Yeah, right.
Nope,
Right.
nope, nope.
I mean, how many hours does a prison guard work? And
In
then if you
reality,
do it,
none.
and they have juvenile
Zero.
facilities, all kind of facilities. Well, how many hours does
That'll work
I
zero.
just,
Because you standing
I always
around
thought about that when I
so much as like you said. And that's why we're here, so that we can get an understanding on how we should be moving. We need to step up, fam. We need to step up as a unit though, not as individuals. Because I tell you this
right,
right now, and the sister dropped a quote in there. They didn't know who Harriet was when they was dealing with Harriet. They had no idea what that was and what that really meant. Same thing with this sister right here. Same exact thing. We don't know how this is going to impact us, but we need to be activated so that we are impacting. And it starts with our children. Okay, let me ask this question. If we don't get taken to the wilderness in the next 20 years, the question is, what have you done for the children then? What have you done? What have been left on your record? You stay in your lane. And doing for the children could be mentioning these resources that the sister has to different family members in your family that have children, so that they can be lobotomized. It's not just for the Israelite culture, but it's for those of us who not even don't even know that they're Israelites. It's for everybody,
right,
all of our children
and
who's
are being
in this
attacked. Their
system.
children are being harmed.
Exactly. Exactly. You can say that, sis. It's okay.
Right,
Their children are being harmed. It don't matter that they
and they're
still
being
worship,
attacked.
stay in class.
And
And go ahead, say that,
yeah,
sis. Go ahead. That they're being attacked. And see, that's what we don't really truly fully recognize. Don't pass the buck. Use this video as an opportunity to minister to your family, whether they receive the Israelite coming under your culture paradigm or not. If you got somebody that's in the church, just tell them, hey, look, you know what? You may want to look at this because this may be beneficial to a child in your circle. But then now it becomes the question of, okay, Israel, are you active and activated?
right.
Are you active and
And
activated?
a lot
Go
of
ahead.
times, our parents are feeling isolated in the sense that they think that these are isolated incidents and they don't even know this is happening to us, right? And then if you then couple that with the trauma that comes through because they probably, as the parents of the child that's currently having issues, probably had issues when they were in school, and then when they try to go to their parents, the parents are like, wow, that happened to us too. But the frequency of wrong don't make it right. And just because it's happened generation after generation don't mean you can't stand up and fight back, because these are our babies, these are our children. They have a set plan of attack against them, and it's coming from all over orifices, different angles, and that's why I said understand mosaic warfare, which includes an asymmetrical battle plan. Okay. And so, again, I brought up those situations, and I want to show you, the way that the society talks about these things, right? They know that they created this gap, but of course they're going to go around researching it. And here in 2019, you have an article by Forbes, a financial magazine, right? A business magazine. The achievement gap hasn't budged in 50 years. Now what? Okay. Hadn't budged in 50 years. Now what? And they start to talk about who's hit the hardest. And of course, it's us. And that hadn't budged. And they'll show you right here, even they always make the comparison, black and white gap and score. So I want to show you guys, after I show you this next thing, how they're coming up with these numbers, because you talked about the numbers a little bit, right? But I want people to be able to go in, and if I didn't put the links in while I'm talking, I will go back and do that when I'm done. Okay. So they're showing you that it didn't budge. This was in 2019. You think it budged today? I want to know who believes that it budged today. 2023, 2024, is it going to budge? No, because it's controlled by deprivation. They have no intention on it budging. Okay. And there's always this person lurking in the room that says, well, that's not happening to me or my kids. Well, what are you doing about the other kids then? Your kids' friends, their cousins. What are you doing about those? Well, it's not my problem. Well, that's why every other community of people have a battle plan to fight back, and we're still over here looking at articles talking about the gap hasn't budged. So we have to come together. I see someone said, the ability of standing in the gap for one another, to stand in the gap for one another, and that's a fact, right? That is a fact. I alone can carry a heavy load, but I can't carry it all. And I remember when I first came, and I'm so grateful to Salt of the Earth, and you, Brother C, because when I first came and I said, look, I want to talk to the family about something, you guys welcomed me with open arms. And it's hard to get people to do that, because the situation is so uncomfortable that we often just want to cover it back up. And it feels so big that, what is it that I do? But I gave some resources, right? So when I talk, I always give, here's a resource, start with this, right? Because it does feel too big, but it's not. Because if we believe that our Abba Yah is who he says he is and will do what he says that he will do, and has proved it over and over again, then we will know there's nothing impossible for him. We just have to move one feet in front of the other into action. And as we go along, I remember Joshua fighting 5 kings and praying that the sun would stop in position where it was at, so that he would conquer his enemies in that day. Right. And so, I just wanted to, take a moment to give some encouragement, because this is a lot, and this is a horrible condition, but this is where we're at. And that doesn't mean don't move, because we recognize it's uncomfortable and it's hurtful, and this is where we're at. That means start seeking fervently for wisdom, a battle plan, a strategic plan of attack, or a strategic plan of fortification. Don't be in the battlefield straddling the fence, being attacked on all sides, standing in the middle and thinking, well, manna might fall out the sky right now. or
Yeah,
maybe
but
the rapture might come.
yeah,
No.
but you hit the nail on the head when you said it's overwhelming. I would imagine that because some parents have two parents in the household that are working. It's not a situation where both the parents are available or one of the parents are available. And so we have to take this on. All of us have to take this on. And parents, if you are listening and when you do hear this battle and this fight is not just yours and yours alone. The Father is going to put resources in front of you so that you can move your child out of this wicked system and be able to homeschool them. But for me, it's like I don't have children that are of that age. My children are all grown and every one of them is doing their own thing. All praises to the Father. But
So
those of you, go ahead, sis.
when
Go ahead.
so when that Forbes in 2019, when all of those um data and results and measurements came out about the achievement gap hasn't budged in 50 years. Now what? What did I do? I went straight and said, here's what you can do. You see that? January 2020. So that we would have a plan. Now, you didn't get this, you didn't see this in the mainstream. Well, here's a plan, here's an agenda. And I wasn't talking about the Rainbow Coalition, and I'm not going to. And that's why you didn't see it, right? Because, oh, that's just too pro, whatever they want to call it, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm saying, here are some things that can be done to, to fight back for our children. Like I said, this was in 2019, 2020. Now it's 20 going into 2024. Where we're at? Where are we at? Okay. And so I'm going to show, you know, the current way that people are getting this data. Okay. So as you can see, if it came up, are we ready to move forward? I'm sorry, brother C. I'm sorry.
No, we good. You rocking. I'm trying not to get in the way. You rock out.
Okay. Okay. And so if you guys understand how they collect data, the U.S. Department of Education collects data all across this nation, and they utilize that to see the gaps. Okay. So when you go to this website, you're going to see two areas of data and statistics that have to do with K to 12 students in schools. Okay. There are two areas of data collection for statistics that have to do with K to 12 education in schools are the nation's report card and the civil rights data collection. They also have right here student outcomes, right? And they're also responsible for colleges and universities. Okay. So if you don't know the laws, you don't know define these things, right? You don't know that this has to be made um, you know, transparent to the public because these are publicly funded entities. And by law, there are things that they have to show you. Now, if you go and click on this, and I'm going to open that in another tab so we can go to it. The nation's report card, also referred to as NAEP, you will clearly begin to see in their data tools and reports that every single thing is broken up by demographic. Okay. So what they will do is give the information about all students. And then you would have to go in to select the state and they will give you the racial ethnic gap tool. Why do they even have a racial ethnic achievement gap tool? You know, Um, and so what you will find by going through this data is that Black children haven't progressed in public schools nationally in over 20 something years. I want y'all to think about that when people talk about Brown versus Board of Education. You could take them right here and said, well, they ain't even progressed since they've been in public schools. They haven't even progressed beyond in a 1% point in over 20 years.
What's the progression of everybody else in that time span?
You will see them progressing more than 3 or 5 what we call adequate yearly progress, right? If we look and add up adequate yearly progress rates, Black children are not making any progress, and other children are making 3, 4, 5, or higher percentage points. So the overall system of U.S. education is bad for all children. But when we put our children in, you start to see that they're not making any progress. As a matter of fact, our children start to have other issues.
It starts seeping into their into their mind from a mental perspective because they're getting came at from so many angles, and it starts impacting the youth.
E-
I would guess.
exactly. And so it's more, that's why you see right here, I'm going to share this tab again. They have the civil rights data collection, right? Along with the condition that all children are in, broken down by demographics of what groups and populations, but coupled with what are the issues that certain groups face in it. And you will find going through this data that our children are the worst treated. I'm talking about physical, emotional, social, and educational mistreatment. Some people call it miseducation. How do you expect for them to thrive in that scenario where it's controlled by deprivation, right? And so, like I said, I'm going to put that in, but I wanted to just inform everybody of where this data is coming from, and they collect this every single year. And like I said, the system of US education is bad anyway, right? And for the wealthy, people, they set up their own schools and they don't have to be a part of this system. They don't have to partake in this system. They can have their children privately educated. But when you only have the public education system to rely on, and that's where you're sending your child through compulsory education rules and laws because you don't understand your right to privately educate and don't know how to set that up, of course, you're sending them into enemy camp.
Okay, so here's what we gonna do, sis. We gonna cut off because we're a few minutes over the 2 hour standpoint. We gonna come back again
Okay.
next week. We gonna come back again. Here's what we gonna do, and y'all done seen I done stopped doing KCs because there's enough information out there for everyone to do what they need to do. But I'm only doing this for 2 reasons. One, I said I would, and I gave my word to the sister that I said I would. Number one, but number two, this is very important, and it should be important to all of us that this information get out. And I'm imploring, if y'all have connects and contacts with larger platforms, obviously larger than Salt of the Earth, can you guys please talk to them individuals so that they can get the sister on, so the sister can start disseminating this information to bigger platforms, because it's all hands on deck. Every Israelite, non-Israelite, I don't care if you're Afrocentrist, I don't care if you're atheist, I don't even care if you still believe in stained glass, which all the windows need to get busted out, but that's a different conversation. That part doesn't matter. Is our children need protection, and our parents need to understand how to advocate for their children. This sister's the modern day Harriet Tubman when it comes to our children, because you don't know how long it's going to be before we get to the wilderness. You have no idea about that.
Right.
Nobody gave you that blueprint yet. The Father ain't gave you that blueprint yet. We could be in the snakes another 10, 15 years. I'm hoping that's not the case. But in the meantime, Are you tarrying the way the Father wants you to? I'm gonna bring up precepts, and we're gonna read from Deuteronomy. We're gonna look at Deuteronomy right quick, and I'm gonna share my screen,
Can
and
I
we're
say
gonna take a
something,
look at it.
brother?
Oh,
Can I
absolutely,
say
you got the floor.
something?
Go ahead, rock out. Go ahead,
Okay.
rock that.
Okay. So I want people to know, this is a lot of information to cover, and we've been covering this. This is our third time, right? Because all of this has been codified in a way that you have to, really go through it bit by bit. So I don't want anybody to be, get overwhelmed from the information. Instead, just reach out and ask me, what does this mean? Right? I don't expect for the people that are watching to just understand the education system, law, policies, and codes. I've been doing this for a long time, as I'm sure y'all can tell, right? This is just what I do, like I said. But I don't want you to hesitate to reach out and ask me if you want to understand, or if you want to know how you can help and where you're at, what you can do, piece by piece, just small things at a time, right? So I just wanted to say that, because I don't want anyone leaving feeling overwhelmed about any of the information that I shared, or the codes or the resources or anything like that. I just want people to understand this is what it does require to look at this system and see what our kids are entangled in.
Y'all hear that? And I want you all to share this video with your family members that have children. If you're a grandparent, share it with your children, so that your children ultimately my prayer is that we don't have none of our people in public fool. There's no reason for us to be in public fool, because quite frankly, I'm an old head, but you know what? I'm still learning. I'm still learning about stuff. I'm still learning about the craft, the stuff I'm involved in, because I wanted to do that as a young star. I said, Father, just allow me to keep learning, because I don't believe in the adage that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I never accepted that. But family, this is important, and I'm coming out the woodwork so that this sister need to be on every platform. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read Deuteronomy 30. And do y'all know Deuteronomy 30? I love Deuteronomy 28. I love 29 and 30. But I'm going to read from Deuteronomy 30. 30 and 1. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 1. I'm going to read a couple of verses, not all of them. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Father, thy Elohim, have driven thee. This is talking about you, 2023. It's talking about you right now, because you done called to awakening, had you called to mind the blessings and the curses. I'm going to read verse 2. And it shall return, and shalt return unto the Father thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I commanded thee this day, thou and thy children. So you're not going to be going to the wilderness by yourself. It's going to be you and your children. What kind of state and physical, mental mind are your children going to be in when they left in public fool? He didn't say you just get to go. He gonna call you back to mind. You supposed to be helping your children. How do you help your children? Get them out of public fool. There shouldn't be an Israelite saying that they got a grandchild, a child, or anybody that's still in public fool. Verse 3, that then the Father thy Elohim will turn thy captivity. He gonna turn that captivity, and then it's gonna go to the enemy. So fam, I'm gonna leave you with that. And we're gonna pick this up again. We're gonna pick it up again on next Sun God Day, day 1, the beginning of the week. And we're gonna continue to have these conversations until the sister get on to the bigger platforms. If you have access to a larger platform, you have the sister's information. You do not have to mention Salt of the Earth, because we're not about clicks and views. We're not about talking about who shot John and why. No, we love our people. And that's why it compels everyone who has family members that's still in public fool to prayerfully get them out. Sis, I'm going to give you the last words before we close out. You get the last words.
So I want to say that we don't need to move in fear, because we know that the love that our Abba Yah has for us is perfect, and we are perfected in his love. And fear has to do with consequences, right? And I know if we're pursuing righteousness, that we shouldn't be fearful of the consequence. We served our time. You say, we look at Deuteronomy, all throughout that we see the consequence for our actions. So we need to continue to pray for wisdom, to execute righteous judgments and justice throughout the earth, and figure out what is our role, how much of a talent we have to use. Don't bury it, right? A lot of times people bury things or do things out of fear, right? But fear can lead to wicked acts and wicked places. And so again, I admonish you, they will know us by our love one for another. What can we do together collectively to protect our children? Talk to your neighbor, talk to your cousin, talk to, the older generation has a lot of wisdom. I don't want to shut them out, because, I talk to the elders a lot, and they're willing to help, just waiting for somebody to ask, what do you need help with, what to do, right? And so those pieces of this puzzle need to start coming together more. I appreciate you guys watching and sharing. I see Pamya, you say you share. I know that this sister is faithful to share stuff, and I appreciate that, and other people as well. Thank you so much, for sharing, Ahayas. I appreciate that. But you really want to let you guys know we're in this together. I have school age children and grandchildren. I'm not just talking at people, right? We're in this together. And so, from that, peace and blessings. I appreciate you all. Shalom to the entire house. And I send my love.
Peace and blessings to you all. And this has been another Salt of the Earth production. Hey, guess what? If you ain't doing right by the children, you're not saved. So get saved and then do right by the children.